Hello, this is Alfonso Escámez and welcome to a new chapter of Indie Talk. Today we're going to meet one of the most renowned artisan watchmakers in the industry. With 40 years of watchmaking, the German independent watchmaker made a name for himself with several innovative concepts. Based in San Blaise, he also works for some of the greatest names in the industry. Today we welcome Bernhard Lederer. Welcome, Bernhard. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
For welcoming me, and thank you for the introduction. Only one remark: you used the term most renowned, which I leave for others to judge.
Okay. Then, for those that may not know you, followers of Doble Firma and these interviews of Indie Talks, who is Bernhard Lederer? How did you decide to become a watchmaker? Because I believe that in your beginnings, it was not easy for you because your family were not convinced that you becoming a watchmaker.
This is very, very true. And let's say I even became a little bit a different watchmaker. So what my parents had been afraid of, becoming a watchmaker who has to change batteries in quartz watches, this I could avoid. And so today my mother still is alive. She will in 3 weeks turn 90 years old. Proud of her son and the recognition what comes now after so many years. And well, just to describe me a little bit with a sense of humor, once Max Büsser, very well known with his MB&F brand, visited us and he called me one of the best kept secrets. And but however, to come back to your question, how I became a watchmaker, I guess it was not me who decided. There is a fascination, you may call it even a virus, that infected me when I started reading books about watchmaking. When I strolled through flea markets and wanted to find out whether you can recognize a watch escapement by its acoustic signature alone. I had been reading about that in a book, and that started the whole story. So going through flea markets, winding up watches, listening on one ear, listening another one on the other ear, of course, always with different escapements, trying to find out if you really can hear the difference. And I can tell you, you have to train your ears, but it is possible to find it out. And that is one of the reasons why I became watchmaker and why I'm still in that business. Because watchmaking is so rich in inventions, in developments and ideas, that you can never fully master everything. And that is why I continually invite you to remain curious, to explore and to uncover the unexpected. It's this richness that keeps me in this profession and keeps me thrilled.
Do you remember by any chance your first watch when you were a kid, and which watch holds the most sentimental value for you?
That question makes me smile because it is half a watch and half a person. It's the most sentimental value in that case goes to my mother and to the wall clock hanging in our living room, where she tried to explain me how to read time. And she failed when I asked her, Mom, but tell me, why the long hand should be for the minutes and the short for the hours? Because I wanted to understand the reason behind, because always when I understand the reason, it's easy for me to memorize. And she was not able to give me a real reason. So I many years struggled quite a lot with reading time correctly. And from time to time I say, that's the reason why I became a watchmaker because I wanted to learn reading time. Of course, that's not true. The real journey deepened with two treasures. It was a clock, and soon after a pocket watch that I inherited from my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
The clock was my first attempt to understand mechanics, but disassembling very quickly revealed my limits. So having the pocket watch of grandfather and having seen that to disassemble even a clock is something quite what you should know upfront what to do, turned me to go to the library and start reading about watchmaking. And therefore, that is how I started to enter into this métier. And then when you start reading and you go to the details, then, as I said, you are infected by a fascination, what you even can treat like a virus, but where I do not want to have any medicine to heal me from.
Mm-hmm. Great. What did your first table clock mean to you, the masterpiece 1986, which was the clock that opened the doors to you for the AHCI? And what does it mean for an artisan watchmaker like you to be a part of this, be a member of AHCI?
All has to do with the fact that I was incredibly lucky to be able to start and complete my apprenticeship in a watch museum. This gave me the opportunity to work with selected treasures from important watchmakers and to learn my craft from these masterpieces. Being surrounded by the finest pieces of these important craftsmen from the very beginning initiated my own ambition, and this had been further manifested in the course of my career. Perhaps it was that meticulous attention to detail that I observed in these historical pieces that became my driving force, motivating me to always push beyond the boundaries of what is already masterful. I guess that it was this reason why this table clock meant nothing for me more than a logical matter and a natural progression of my craft.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changed, and also my view to this table clock, when a client insisted on acquiring it. And then I said, no, it's mine. And it's not for sale. And then it started to become a value. And it became a real value at the moment when Georges Daniels himself expressed his admiration for its precision, for its design, for the technical execution, and for the fact that I made all drawings myself by hand, I made all the calculations by hand, and this recognition from him, that really changed my point of view to it. Because it was the first testament of my capability. Every part made entirely with my own hands. Every wheel cut tooth by tooth by tooth. All the calculation done without the help of a computer. That is a little bit different today, and but it shows my reflection and my dedication to the craft. And then, of course, your question: what does it mean to become a member of the academy?
Mm-hmm.
Also there, at this time, the academy meant nothing for nobody. It had just been created, and the main idea behind was to help each other. Because 40 years ago, a watchmaker, people smiled on us and made us ridiculous, staying in a profession that nobody needs anymore. People wanted to have quartz watches where you press a button and the numbers are lightning, and from time to time you change the battery. But those crazy people that stood with mechanic watches, who the hell wants to have that? And therefore we had the feeling we need each other. to go to exhibitions, to show our craftsmanship and our art in watchmaking. And this we afforded only when we put it us together. And this remains till today. A lot of us still exposed together, even if today the recognition, of course, changed dramatically. Independent watchmaking became very much respected, and that is very positive.
Mhm. A question that I think is important for the viewers is that you have lived the crisis of the quartz. You have go through it, and then now we are in I think, a different kind of crisis in terms of watchmaking. How do you see it's more or less the same. How do you see the future? Because I think that these two moments are quite different.
Yes, also we can say we had three important crises. We had the crisis of the quartz watch in the 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had the big crisis. What you also told me that you had been affected by. That was the financial crisis, 2009, 2008 to 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And now we face a little bit again a crisis in the watch industry. What is for me a wave resulting from the corona um, symptoms. But you know, you have to make the difference between a watchmaker who has his own ideas, who makes in very small quantities, very prestigious, uh, very limited quantities of watches, and those huge companies who make hundreds thousands of watches every day. And of course, today they have a little problem in the market, even maybe a big problem in the market. Also, because people turn around and turn the back to them, as they do not want to listen anymore to simple marketing phrases. The people interested in watches, they started already many years ago to see the difference between a marketing product and a real handmade product as we make them.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that this new crisis will affect less independent brands or watchmakers than the mainstream brands?
Yes, yes. Mhm. Um, there are, of course, a few very heavy names, if I may say so. They will be clearly less affected, and a lot of smaller brands with less um, deepness in their products, they will suffer much more. Also, a few of those independent brands, because you have to see there are also industrial independent brands.
Mm-hmm.
They buy movements from big suppliers. They let make the cases somewhere. They let make the dials. They have the companies where they give it to let the watches assemble. So they are marketing companies, but yes, they are independent because they don't belong to those three big groups.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not change the principle that they let things make and fill it or put around the rope of a nice marketing story. But the real collectors who are interested in the matter of watchmaking, of course, they know it, they see the difference, and they are not that much interested in this kind of independent watch brands. What I can see is that the collectors more and more turn their focus to those real watchmakers who make as much as they can with their own machines in their own facility. And from time to time, you have a watchmaker who makes one or two watches per year because he makes all on just a little tiny machine. And this takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have companies like mine we are equipped with modern machines where we prepare the base components, and then we have all our watchmakers, our decorators who are here at place under my observation. We are going and I show them how to do and how to get the last details, the things what maybe nobody will see and realize, but who complete the whole picture. And by having people who are same fascinated as me and in love with the work what we do here, of course we are able to make a few watches more per year, but it stays all handmade and with the most attention to all the details. And this is what is requested by the watch collectors, and this is what becomes more and more looked after. And therefore I see this difference in being affected from this cries what people talk about, what in reality is not in the watches, but is concerning only the brands who produce in huge quantities and just blow it up by nice marketing stories.
Okay, let's go back to your history. Tell us something about such an interesting and difficult project as the clock of the 50th anniversary of the discovery of Brazil.
Yes.
How difficult was to build 27 clocks of such dimensions?
Yeah. So it is not the 50th, but the 500th.
Sorry, 500 anniversary.
And this project came about through close collaboration with a Brazilian designer who knew of my belief that there are no problems, only solutions waiting to be found. As he knew about that, and with this in mind, he asked me to look for such a solution for this large clock project, what he had designed. Why he asked me? Because he designed a very special feature, and that was the most significant challenge. He designed a central second hand with a length of over 3 meters. There are companies that build large clocks for towers and public spaces, but none had ever created a mechanism with a functional central second hand. Such a feature is unknown or was unknown until then, because it is really complex and nobody asked for, nobody needed. But he did. So the problem was to drive this second hand with what not allowed to have first a visible counterweight, and it had to be designed in such a way that even the strong storms on the seaside could not turn the hand counterclockwise. It took quite a while to develop, and the breakthrough came after a while only. But the enthusiasm, the result was so fascinating, and the Brazilian people had been really blown away that instead of 3 clocks that had been ordered at the beginning, they said it's too beautiful. We want to have it in each and every capital of all the counties what they have. And therefore, then at the end, I built 27 of such big clocks.
Amazing. Then, some years later, you decide to create your first brand under the name of Blue, Bernhard Lederer Universe. Why did this appear?
Hello. BLU, you showed how it was spelled later on Bernhard Lederer Universe, but originally these are my initials and my profession. It means originally Bernhard Lederer Uhrmacher.
Okay.
The Uhrmacher is the German word for watchmaker. But try to pronounce Uhrenmacher.
I will not try it.
It is extremely complicated to pronounce in many languages, and therefore we changed the U into universe. That was the time when I started to make really permanently my own watches, and my vision was to express the joy of time. I felt that you have two kind of watches. You have the watches from the Industrial Revolution, where people stood and they stopped the time to show you that you have to work quicker. And this, I felt, is not the theme where I want to be active in. I wanted to show that time is something really to be enjoyed. It can change. Sometimes you feel that half an hour is your whole life, and sometimes half an hour is just going away like nothing. And I I was inspired by sunrise, by sunset, and therefore developed watches where the whole dial is turning, where you can see how the sun is moving up, how it's at midday coronating the day, and then it goes down to the end of the day. And those rotating dials today, you can find them quite in a few watches. But we had been 20 years ago doing things like that, and also using materials that today are quite common. I made a tourbillon without a cage. Until today, nobody had the courage to do this again. Maybe I will. But then we had, as you already mentioned, then we had this financial crisis.
Mhm.
But hopefully, that was not the end, but just the beginning of a new chapter on my life.
Mhm.
I was forced to sell the company at that time. However, we managed to recover all what is needed in order to provide the attention necessary for after-sale service for all of those watches what we produced at that time. And therefore, it was just like a going down and coming back. But we decided that it was a time to have the brand BLU that was in the past. And today we have the theme to show the watch collectors something different, something more, going in more deep into the movements.
Mhm. Do you remember more or less how many watches did you produce under your brand BLU?
No,
No.
no, it's really it's too long ago, and I had been focused in the time in between, managing for many well-known global player in the watch industry to develop some special series, some special series for them, certain developments for new movements and calibers. And the time of BLU is really it is long ago, but
Mhm.
we can see the fascination had been so deep that even today, after we sold it 2009, now we are facing the end of 24, so it is 15 years ago. But still today, we get emails where people ask us to reanimate it because it had been so fascinating, so different. And they ask if they can still buy, if we know, if we can find for them. And that is really something what makes me happy, what shows that always with this being different and not going the mainstream, even if it can be very hard for quite a long time, at the end it gives you the real satisfaction.
Mhm. Then now you have your own brand under your own name. What do you think is the DNA of the brand, and what do you think sets you apart from the rest of independent brands?
Um, yeah, I guess I was already branding my watches with BLU, but it
Mhm.
was, of course, hidden behind those three letters. Today, we clearly say, this is me, this is Lederer who is behind these watches. And it is my passion and mission to make these extraordinary mechanical artworks accessible to as many watch enthusiasts as possible, which aims to pay tribute to the most incredible escapements through our series, what we call the Tribute to the Masters of Escapements. This collection reimagines and re-engineers milestone escapements from the history of watchmaking, while we adapt them to meet the demands of today and transform them into exceptional wristwatches. Through this series, we aim to invite collectors to enrich their collection with pieces that not only embody prestige, but also celebrate the ingenuity of escapement. It is our hope to offer something truly unique, allowing collectors to appreciate the artistry and legacy of horological innovation from a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What sets us apart from other watch brands, I guess, is that our timepieces are prestigious, are handcrafted, are grounded in real values and engineered to perfection, with the beauty of hand-finished components and with a rigorous eye on the reliability and durability. What truly sets us apart is our mastery of escapements, the heartbeat of any mechanical watch. This is at the core of any of my creations, respecting both our expertise and our commitment to advancing the art of watchmaking. And this is my vision, my passion, and my personal challenge.
Mm-hmm. You have it considered the master of escapement. What does it mean to you, and how do you approach innovation in this field?
It's interesting. We made the series called Tribute to the Masters of Escapements, and it is dedicated mainly to put back to life historic important developments from the big masters of escapements.
Mm-hmm.
And people by themselves, they started to put this master of escapement in connection with my name. Um, I see it as a compliment, but it's up really to the others to call me like that and not up to me. But voila, the escapements are the heartbeat of all our watches. This is where we bring these tiny little works of art to life, and it is the most challenging part of the entire art of watchmaking. And yeah, to be considered a master in this field, of course, makes me proud. But it fills me with respect at the same time, because the true tribute belongs to the great, outstanding talents of watchmaking history. They did not have our equipments and capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they invented so breathtaking mechanisms. And I'm only happy that I can see and hopefully can understand what these masters invented, and I'm able to adapt their ingenious ideas to our expectations of today. I truly believe that we can build something on what they invented. And I'm not sure if I would have been able to make such great inventions completely on my own. But we can build the future on this because we understand and respect in deep and have the knowledge of the past. Without the past, we could not have that future. What we are doing here is working against the forgetting of ingenious ideas. We give those ideas their well-deserved place. We put a spotlight on them and bring them to the wrist, as I hope, of as many watch enthusiasts as possible.
Mm-hmm. What is the most challenging part when creating one of your watches? How much time could it take you from your first idea till you have the watch already produced? And you are talking about the escapement. When you are designing a new model, the caliber is affected, or the first thing that you design is the escapement?
Yes. The first is the escapement, and because you have different types of escapements,
Mm-hmm.
and you have, everybody knows the detent escapement, the chronometer escapement. What in the CIC we made it as Breguet wanted to do it but could not, as George Daniels finally did it, but for pocket watches. We mirrored, we put it two chronometer escapements together. And this is made to have a really high, precise timekeeping device. And then you have developments that are made for the challenge of robustness. So they are thought to be maybe good for sports watches or for really hard movements. So as the reason of an escapement is different, this is at the very beginning, and then you go out and make the whole movement behind. And the most question for you, according to the challenge, I guess it differs, but to achieve balance and harmony across the whole creation is quite difficult, because you have technique and stylistic expectation. You have to keep the prestige, the perfection in the execution at the highest level. But at the end, I think the most personal challenge in this whole journey is that I have to convince myself that this piece meets already my really very rigorous standards. So the most difficult at all is to get me satisfied with what we create.
Mm-hmm. And what about the timing? Once you have the idea, for example, for the CIC or the Triple Observatory, how much time it took you to develop and produce the whole watch?
Also, here is a big difference between the one escapement and the other.
Mm-hmm.
There will come out escapements where we already now work on the prototype to start to understand what happens there in a little bit bigger scale. But we don't think that this escapement will come into wristwatch and on the market within the next 5 to 10 years. And then, of course, we have already developed escapements that will come out quite soon. They did not take so much time.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends. But of course, yes, to go into escapements is the most challenging part of construction, of development, because nobody in the market can help you, can guide you, can give you a guideline. It is a little bit like an escape game. So
Mm-hmm.
escapements and escape game are very similar in the wording, but you know that you have to solve this and this and that. And once you could solve those challenges, this is the moment when in the escape game, the locker opens and you can open the next door and come to the next room, and nobody knows what is waiting there for you. And therefore, to make a forecast and tell, okay, we are going to do this and this escapement now, and it will take us 2 years or 5 years. I think that is something what is not possible to predict.
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what is waiting at the end. You can get an escapement working, yes, but if you want to get it working reliably in a watch, what will be worn on the wrist from many people around the world in different circumstances, this is where you have to make the next step and really go as far as you are able to go and to ensure this reliability and the function over a long period of time, about many years. And at the end, this is the challenge, because I will sign them with my name. And I will do all and everything to protect my name as a name for a prestigious, reliable, outstanding watch brand.
Great. Bernhard, what is your total production right now? And are you planning to increase it in the near future?
I will answer the second half first. And no, we don't plan to increase.
Okay.
And our total production depends on the fact that we produce every component beside of main and hairspring. All the other components we produce here in-house. This we do to be able to control the quality and also to control mainly the delivery time. To get out from a dependence of a supplier whom we cannot control. And that brings us to a quantity what is somewhere slightly above 50 pieces per year, what we are able to produce and bring to the market. So you can say each person working here is able to make 2 watches per year. We have 25 people who work here together, and we are able to get around 50 watches per year. So it does not change. There are many watchmakers, they work at their own, and they reach to get 2 watches per year produced. The very same is with us, only that we cumulated here 25 high motivated people, and therefore we get those 50 pieces.
Okay, great. You have there at the back of your office 2 prizes of the GPHG. The first one was in 2021, the Innovation Award with the Central Impulse Chronometer, CIC. And in this year, just almost 1 month ago, the Chronometry Award with the Triple Certified Observatory Chronometer. What do this award mean to you?
They mean very much. They mean very much for me, because we give so much attention to our work, what we do here. And just to give you an example, each and every watch that we assemble will run here for at least 3 months to ensure optimal performance. After these 3 months, we disassemble it completely, clean everything. So it is like it was 50 years ago when you get a new car. You had to run the engine by driving very slowly, then bring it back to the garage to change the oil before you really could start driving your car. We do the very same. We let the watches start working, observe them, and then we clean them, reassemble them, give them fresh oil before we give any watch out of our house here. And we don't measure our performance here in time. We measure our performance by reaching the highest level of perfection for every timepiece. And so assembling may take 2, 4, or even 6 weeks, but important is that we have this possibility to focus on this high quality, what we feel is so important. And if then this passion, what we bring to our watches, is then accepted and is then, how should I say, then awarded and recognized by those awards, then that is something outstanding. And especially never before a watch received twice a prize. Normally, once a watch received the prize, it is done and you do not get a second time. But here, the jury decided that first, it is an innovation that was the first in 2021. It is the innovation prize to fulfill, to close the circle of research that started 220 years ago with the idea of Abraham Louis Breguet. And we had been able and lucky to be the one who could close the chapter and have his idea working in a perfect way for the first time in wristwatches. And then by proving through 3 years that it was not only a promise from our side, but that this escapement and the medical, the I don't know how to pronounce it in English, the attention what we give to all our pieces showed off that the watches are very, very regular, very stable in timekeeping, and therefore, again, the same development was awarded with the chronometry prize. And this shows that people recognize how fundamentally different we are. Not just distinct, but we are very different in our approach and achievements. And this is a worthy recognition, as it had been shared by nearly 1,000 members of the Academy of the Grand Prix de Genève. So that means it is profound and well-founded validation of our work.
Any novelties coming for 2025? And any new complication?
I don't want to make watches complicated.
Okay.
So therefore, I know that the meaning is different, but in German language, a complication is something what is complicated.
Yes. It's true. I mean, another kind of what normal complications.
Uncomplicated
complication.
Yeah. Yes, of course, exciting developments are already underway, as I mentioned earlier, within this tribute to the Masters of Escapement collection. And this long-term vision is dedicated to creating entirely new and innovative watch escapements, each representing a milestone in historical mastery. The first of these, the Central Impulse Chronometer, set the tone for this ambitious series. The next escapements are already undergoing rigorous testing. As I said, I will sign them with my name, and therefore I want to ensure that each one meets those high standards what we have here in our company, and that they deserve bearing my name. This is longevity and meticulous care that remains at the heart of everything we do. And it was very nice that recently I met a collector during an event, and he approached me and said, "Mr. Lederer, I want to show you something." And he lifted up the shirt, and I could see a watch from the collection from BLU. And he was so proud and shared with us that even after more than 30 years of constant use of his watch, it still is in flawless condition. And those moments, they are rare and deeply moving. They reaffirm the importance of crafting timepieces that endure both in quality and in meaning.
How do you see, Bernhard, the future of independent watchmakers or watchmaking? Because there are newcomers that we may see in the recent years. How do you see the future of this small niche sector of watchmaking?
Very positive. The existence of independent watch brands can no longer be overlooked. They have too high recognition, but I guess a distinction needs to be made here between independent watch brands and real watchmakers.
Mm-hmm.
By independent watch brands, I mean commercial companies that offer more or less self-manufactured or made for them, tailor-made by suppliers, movements, what they case and voila, complete them mostly also in some factories who are specialized for this. And the mere fact that they do not belong to any of the three major groups uh, does not distinguish them from that group of labels. There also I include the big group of many of those small movement decorators companies who now try to jump on the train of the recognition of real independent watchmaking. And therefore, I cannot give any opinion on their future as I don't know their market.
Maybe it's better to call you in artisan independent watchmakers, right?
So the real watchmakers, you have watch brands,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the watchmakers.
Yeah.
And there I really would like to pronounce this maker. No? Watch branding is you put stamp on whoever makes it, does not matter who is the real worker behind, but then you have those companies who are watch makers. And those who had the courage to create their own movement, to manufacture all the individual parts by themselves, decorate them, run against the difficulty to get some components what you need to be supplied with, like cases or dials, because that is not watchmaking. That
Mm-hmm.
is another profession. And those who, however, running against this difficulty uh, because they only need ultra small quantities, what nobody wants to make. And if they get it to make their own watch, then I guess the future has improved for these stable persons has improved greatly for the better. And if you just look a few years back, as we spoke about in the beginning, even if you go 40 years back, people treated us a little bit like ridiculed and had been laughing about us. But today, the interest has risen very sharply and is encouraging everybody of us to continue. Yeah.
Okay, great. What are your most important markets?
Our market isn't defined by geography, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but by the collectors themselves. Our focus is on the individuals who appreciate the artistry and the artwork that we do and that we offer them. And that is also the true heart of our brand, this making for the customers, for the collectors.
Mm-hmm. Then I was going to ask you about the Spanish market if you are interested in being here because you are not here right now. But as your market are watch collectors, it's quite different, right?
Also, thanks to you,
Yeah.
I am now there in Spain. I don't feel it very much because it's cold here. And
Here is quite cold also today. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, but the Spanish market, yes, it is important for us. It's a market that appreciates distinction, and there are passionate collectors that know us pretty well. Also, we are not, as you said, directly presented here. Yeah, but the collectors are the important, and the contacts are there, and there are important collections in your country, and therefore it is attractive and important for us.
Okay, great. What is more or less your price range? For example, the last two ones that you have released, the CIC and the Triple Observatory.
Yes. Hello. Our watches start over 100,000 Swiss francs, what reflects our exceptional craftsmanship, the innovation, and the exclusivity that define each of those pieces. You spoke about the triple certified chronometer. This is slightly under 150,000. It is 146,000, but only 8 pieces of this watch exist, as the work to make all those certifications is quite a lot of paperwork, and we love to focus on real handmade craftsmanship, and we prefer to go further in new developments, and therefore we said it's a very, very limited quantity of watches. They are there just to show, however, with 8 pieces, what is an important quantity, to show that our quality stays even if we test them during 6 months in different entities. And that was the purpose of making this very exceptional watch.
Okay, great. Then we have arrived to the end of the interview. My last question that I do to all my interviewees is that if you were not wearing one of your watches, one of the Lederer watches, what brand and model would you wear?
During my apprenticeship, there was a brand that I admired and thought this is the best, and I would like once to reach their level. That was Kult. Their dedication and craftsmanship impressed me at that time very, very much, and still today I have a huge respect towards them.
Any special model?
No. It was the general way how they approached the art of watchmaking that impressed me most.
Then, Bernhard Lederer, thank you for being with us here at Indie Talks of Doble Firma. It has been a real pleasure. I hope to see you soon here in Madrid or in Spain, and it has been a real pleasure.
The pleasure is absolutely on my side. As I have to thank you for those really interesting questions, showing that you went deep into my history and into what I'm doing, and that always is a great pleasure to be there. And I'm looking forward to also be well presented in Spain, and hope to be once in Madrid. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.